Hi, I'm Tamara. Welcome to my channel, Anything is Possible. Today we're going to do a video on how to paint your house. This seems like a pretty big project, I know, and if you got a big house, it is a big project. But you can start small and do a little bit at a time and you'll get it done. If you got some really hard to get to or some high places, you might want to enlist some help. But I have a one-story house and it's very doable to do your own painting. I'm going to show you every step of the way, and from the prep work on down to cleaning up. A facelift to your house is really important. It's like the first thing that people see about your house. If the house is a good color, blends in with the plants, and you got good landscaping, it's welcoming, it's friendly, and it really enhances the value of your home and your entire neighborhood. In most cases, you won't need to sand all the way to the bare wood. I had to do that on this particular wall because it's a south-facing wall, and it was really blistering and peeling, and even the eaves were all quite cracked. So I went to a lot of effort of sanding it all the way down, getting it really nice and clean, then priming and painting. The rest of the house I didn't do this much effort. I just did a quick sanding, and anyway, so here I have finished the wall. It's all sanded as much as I'm going to. The part up above didn't get anywhere near as much sun beating onto it. So, and I sprayed it down with a hose to get the dust off. Let it dry and it'll be ready to paint. I'm going to assume that you've never painted before and just start from the beginning. This is primer. I get the Kills 2, which is interior or exterior. Oh, the dog's barking. If you don't have one of these, they'll give them to you in the paint store. When you buy your paint, pry the can open. They may assume you have one if you don't. And this is sat. I always have them shake everything at the store, but this is sat for a while, so it needs to be stirred. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's a good thing to buy one of these. I got a long one that'll work for a larger can. But have a bucket of water handy, and I have a really old drill in case it gets paint on it. I don't care. Put it all the way down in. That off of there. Good thing to clean up as you go, because this primer really sticks. It's not like latex. Don't do any of this on a surface that you care about, because you're likely to get all kinds of spills. Now, before you pour, you can also buy these little plastic spouts. I never can find mine. So the cheap, quick and dirty way to do this is to just put a few holes on the inside lip of the paint can with a nail. I got this. I'll see if I can find it and put a link for you. I got it off a website called Vomit, and it's for new inventions, and this really helps. It's covered with some furry stuff that soaks up the paint, and instead of carrying a whole pan of paint up with you when you're painting, it's called a Paint Handy, and I will try and find it online and put a link below. I haven't had a chance to look it up, but it's got this nice Velcro strap on the back, so and you can just put your hand in there and and tighten it up, whatever works for you, and carry it around. And I use this to paint the whole outside. All of the hand painting, you take this up on the ladder with you, and you don't have to deal with a container that's going to be splashing around. So I'll show you. This will just soak right into that bristle stuff there. And then I'm going to pour some into my pan. You need a paint pan, a roller, and I buy a bunch of these because I hate cleaning rollers. But they tend to have a lot of extra fuzz. So you can buy one of these, what's called a 5-in-1 tool. And you go like this, and you get quite a bit of loose fuzz, which would otherwise end up going into your paint when you're painting. So I just give that kind of like you're combing your dog or cat. Just go up and down a little bit with it. Get some of that extra fuzz before you start painting with your roller. It's shedding. Must be summer. Pour some paint in here. And then we'll go over and start doing our painting. I'll tap the lid just lightly so it doesn't dry out while we're painting. Another thing I didn't think I made quite clear when I was tapping the nail holes in here, the reason you want to do that is because this lip on the paint can, I didn't do it on this one when I did it before, and but I did it now, is that the paint accumulates when you pour in this lip, and then you put the lid on, and number one, either it's gonna sit in there and dry and get gross like it did here, or it may not even seal properly, and then air will get in and your paint will be no good at all. So if you put the holes in, then any paint that accumulates in this lip will drip right back down into the can, and you'll have all that paint will just be going back into the can. So when I buy brushes, I don't cheap out. Cheap brushes I found the hard way. Number one, they don't come to a nice point. So you've got this big wad of bristles that it's hard to get any kind of detail when you're painting. Number two, they lose bristles all the time. And so when you're painting, the bristles fall into the paint, and you'll end up either not seeing them and it'll dry into the paint and be a huge mess, or you'll have to be picking them out, taking time to pick them out of the wet paint and get paint all over you and everything. It's just, it's stupid. So I buy just about the best brushes I can, and I try and make them last for years if I can. I find it really pays off to wash them, and then after you're done washing, you comb, you know, just like, well, if you've ever done painting, watercolors or anything, after you paint, take the brush and get the bristles all nice and together and lined up, and then let it dry in that position, and they'll all be nice and flat and ready to go. Well, I found out. I went ahead and spent a little more money on some paint rollers, and this brand here, Master, I don't know, there's probably a bazillion different brands, but this one, it actually says great finish, less lint. I took my 5-in-1 tool and went combing through it and got almost virtually no lint off of it. So pays to pay a little bit more. It was only maybe another couple of bucks to get better quality rollers. It took me, oh gosh, at least 3 samples trying out different paints before I found the color that I really like for this particular house. Don't just buy a whole bunch of paint like I did one time when I was painting a house. I went and got like 17 gallons of this paint, and was just horrible. I did one great big wall and we lived with it for a couple of weeks, and I said, I hate this color. Get some little sample cans and splash some on, you know, a big enough wall area. You can buy the little sample cans, and it does cost you a little up front, but better that than paint the whole house and find out you really hate the color. What I did was I found a paint sample in a different brand than I was planning to buy. I wanted to get Behr Marquee because it's just a real top quality paint, and if you're going to go to all the trouble of painting the outside of your house, you better just buy the best, you know. Bite the bullet and spend the money, because it'll last you for a long time. So they can do that with the computer. You take a paint sample in and they look up what the recipe is to make that color, and they can make any paint that you want with a color from a different company. So don't be afraid of just finding the color that you want, and they change constantly. I've done interior paints, and you know, within a year all the colors are different. So save that little chip. I have a little notebook and I keep all my colors in there, and then if I want to use that color again, or I need to touch up and I need more paint, you can just take that in and they can look it up in the computer, and they have back decades, I guess, you know, or at least 10 years I would say, on the colors that were supposedly offered by that company in the past. This is the way you paint. I'm up on the top of the ladder. This is the top of the house with the windows, and you load your brush, which means you just dip it in the paint and scrape most of it off. You don't want to go overboard with too much paint because it just drools and drips. I know we all think, well, I'm going to load a lot of paint on there and then I won't have to do 2 coats, which, you know, I mean, hopefully we don't have to do 2 coats. If you buy good quality paint, that's one of the advantages. It's thicker. But what we want to do first is, at least this is the way I do it, the window frame's going to be white, so I kind of made a boo-boo there and painted it green, but get into all the little nooks and crannies. It's hard to do when I've got the camera in one hand. What you want to do is get the small spaces that you can't reach with the roller. So you get the corners and the edges. And get a little more paint. Sorry. I'm off in the toolies there. So, and then you just do that all the way down. Dab it in, and this is where the angle brush is nice because it kind of helps you get into some of those tight spots. I do up underneath the wood, and your siding will be different from mine. I've done siding that isn't like lapped like this. It's my shop is actually different kind of siding, but it's got these indentations and the roller just doesn't get in there. So what I do is I go with the brush first, and I do small sections like this, usually a little bigger than this, but this is what I got left on this particular section. And get in all the little edges that you'll be seeing from the side as best you can. The way you load the roller, you have some paint in there. Don't get it up too far in the pan. I usually fill till it's just about there. And you go, and the first time you do this when the roller's dry, it actually takes quite a bit to get the roller so it's full of paint. And then you go back here and you roll a lot of it off so it's not just dripping with paint. And then you go paint. Here we are back up on the ladder. I don't want to get paint on the lens here, but I'll do up under the eaves. And I'm not going to get overhead because I'm afraid I'm going to get paint on the camera. But And then what I do to get this part is kind of just up and down pattern. A couple of boards. And that usually pretty much gets good coverage. And then I go back and go this direction just to get a nice even coverage. Now, a lot of paints these days, most good quality paints, are what they call self-leveling. So you don't have to worry too much about brush strokes and that sort of thing, because as it dries, it actually will smooth out. And we go back and roll over, and then that's it. And a lot of people are probably laughing at this technique because they just say, why don't you just use a sprayer? And I've used a sprayer, you know, and they're kind of a pain. They're a pain to clean. If they don't do a good job cleaning, then the nozzles and everything get clogged, and then it's worthless. And if you have any chunks in your paint, you really have to kind of thin the paint and strain it into the sprayer before you use the sprayer. I just found it to be quite a hassle. It goes fast, so of course that's why the professionals do it that way. And I just love painting the quietness, and you don't have that when you're doing with a sprayer. It's the whole time. This is very meditative. Here's a little section that we just did. And it's getting started, but that's okay. We got that little section, and you can see it's a nice green. Blends in with the surroundings. And this is the primed wall. I'll pan out. That was the primer I did yesterday. I am going to paint this cinder block, but I want to first make sure I get all the wood painted. I may have to go get more paint. And I wanted to show you that I've got a little helper here today. Felix. Want to say hi to the family? Hi there, it's Felix. Yeah, he said meow. He says hi. He's helping me. So I'm going to show you how to do the trim. Anyway, you take your 2-inch angle brush and you stick it up in the corner and you draw a line straight down. This was such a deep blue. I'm having a feeling I'm going to have to do 2 coats of the white, even over the primer. And that's really common when you've got a real abrupt color change between what you used to have and what you have now. And once I'm done with this, I'm going to take out this old caulking and re-caulk. Anyway, if you've got a steady hand and you're doing something white with a white window frame, you can just freehand it. It's not a big deal. But if you're doing a bright color, it would probably be a good idea to mask. So when you're in the paint store, ask them what to use for masking. There's some nice masking tapes now that go on quick, and they keep you from making boo-boos. You don't want to slop onto the window, because once it's on there, it's hard to get off. Not a whole lot to learn here. Take the 5-1 tool when you're cleaning your roller and scrape it down. Look at all that paint coming out of there. Lots and lots of paint in your roller. You want to waste that. Whether you wash your roller out or not, you don't want to throw all that good paint away. And then brush, although we're going to be using the brush again. Then just take your paint pan and pour it back in into the can. Assuming you're using latex, all of this washes up with water. Just hot soapy water does the best job if you want to do stuff like your brush. Make sure it stays as nice as it can. Make sure your lid is on good and tight. I use a rubber mallet so you don't dent the lid. Time to do the dishes. A bucket of water. This has just got some other paint in the water. Or first off, it does pretty well. Give it a rinse. I just dab down on the bottom of the bucket. Like I say, if you want to get it really clean, you do it inside in the kitchen sink or something with some hot soapy water. This brush is getting kind of old, so I'm going to do an okay job, but not a great job on that. And then this. I do a good shake of the brush. Shake the brush. Like I showed you before, then you smooth the bristles down, put it someplace to lie flat and dry. This is it. The eaves are painted. I am not putting the rain gutter back up. I see no reason. That land here slopes away from the house, and there's no door there, so nobody's ever going to be walking out here. I find rain gutters, by and large, are more of a pain than they're worth. They fill up with leaves and dirt, and you have to get up there and clean them all the time. And as long as the water isn't pooling near the foundation and it runs off easily like this does, I see absolutely no reason for putting the rain gutter up. Anyway, so I got the, let me come up here and I'll show you. I got the cinder box all painted. Over here on this side is going to be, I'm going to build a big planter and install a lot of tropical plants and stuff there. I have them in my holding area, alstroemeria and calla lilies and some grasses. And I'll be planting some more of the callas and daylilies over in that area, so it'll look really nice in summer. Now you may ask, what is going on with this little door that goes down under my house? So I'm gonna do something really special with that. I'll put that in a different program, but I'm gonna make it look a little magical, because once this area is finished, this whole thing is going to be a whole separate little garden, and when you walk up here, that will be right at the top of these steps that you go to. And I'm going to put some black metal hinges and make it look kind of mysterious, like where does that little door go? I didn't want to just paint it green, so I'm going to get creative with that. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed watching. It was a long process. Actually, from the time I started painting my house until I finished, it was about 2 years. You only got to see the last wall, which I didn't strip the rest of the house because it wasn't in anywhere near as bad shape. That was a south-facing wall, and I took it all the way down to the bare wood. But overall, you probably just need a quick cleanup, get rid of the cobwebs, maybe a little sanding, scraping of loose paint, and you'll be able to you'll be ready to roll. So I hope that helped, and you'll be able to tackle your own project and improve the appearance of your home. Thanks for watching. Please hit like if you like this, and subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos. Bye.